Welcome to the City of Martinsburg Illicit Discharge, Detection, and Elimination Employee Training. Today, we will explain what an illicit discharge is, what to look for when driving around town, and what to do when you find that illicit discharge. Our goal is to keep Martinsburg clean and the creeks safe from pollutants. Stormwater is precipitation that originates during a snow, storm, or rain event. The rainwater that does not soak into the ground is called stormwater runoff. That stormwater runoff then flows towards storm drains and into a system of underground piping, which then flows directly to our streams, the Tuscarora Creek and Dry Run. This is where illicit discharge comes in. An illicit discharge is any discharge that flows into a storm drain that is not composed entirely of stormwater. This picture is a good example of illicit discharge. The dumpster has trash and food waste inside and is leaking from the bottom directly into the storm drain. Some of the most common household activities can have an unhealthy impact on our water quality, from washing the car to killing weeds. Stormwater runoff is today's #1 source of pollution in our rivers, lakes, and oceans. The Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, and the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection, or the DEP, require cities to apply for a permit to discharge their stormwater into local surface waters. Martinsburg was designated a Phase 2 Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, or MS4, community in 2004. An MS4 community is required to detect and eliminate illicit discharges. All municipal employees must be trained on detection and elimination of illicit discharges under this permit. Anyone can detect an illicit discharge with some training. When driving through the community, look around at storm drains. This is where you can spot a lot of illicit discharges. Trash is the most common debris that end up clogging our storm drains and end up in the waterways. Cigarette butts, plastic, aluminum cans, wood products, cardboard, and bottles all float downstream and are hazardous to aquatic life. Trash will mess up aquatic habitats and transport chemicals, pollutants downstream. And it can interfere with recreational activities such as fishing and swimming. Grass clippings and leaves, when swept into the street and curbs, can clog storm drains. A clogged storm drain can cause flooding issues in your neighborhood. They also carry pesticides that harm the water quality. Did you know that leaving grass clippings on your yard creates a natural fertilizer? Remember, you can bag up your leaf piles and call Public Works for a free pickup. And always remember to pick up your pet waste. Pet waste can add bacteria to stormwater runoff that affects the quality of the waterways. All sorts of gross liquids can end up going down the storm drain. Rainfall can mix with chemicals and waste in improperly maintained dumpsters or grease containers. This polluted water then spills out of possible holes in the dumpster or when the container is emptied. When that polluted water leaks out of a dumpster, it is called dumpster juice. You can see the dumpster juice coming out of a hole at the bottom of this dumpster. A good way to stop dumpster juice is to have lids covering the dumpsters when not in use, and to regularly check for holes on the outside of the dumpster. Vehicle maintenance is a big problem for storm drains. I'm sure once in your life you've had a leaky vehicle. When that happens, drip pans or spill pads should be placed under them to collect the fluid. Vehicles should get fixed as soon as possible when they start to leak to prevent an illicit discharge. Gas stations and auto garages have a proper way to dump out all the oil and fluids. Oil should never be dumped into a storm drain. Everyone wants their vehicles to look nice and clean. If you wash your vehicle at home, do so on your grass or in an area that will allow the water to flow to the grass. Grass areas can easily infiltrate pollutants from car washing before they reach the storm drains. Otherwise, all the soapy wash water will end up in the storm drains and cause pollution downstream. Car washes are also a great place to get your vehicles clean. Restaurants are a big part in detecting illicit discharges. All their food waste needs to go somewhere. The dumpsters that restaurants use need to have closed lids when not in use to keep the rainwater out and help prevent overflows. When looking at the dumpsters, do not forget to look for any of that dumpster juice leaking out. Restaurants need to have their own grease traps and dispose of the grease correctly. Mats, equipment, and food containers should be washed in a janitor's closet or mop sink, never outside. When things get washed outside, that dirty water always ends up in the storm drain. Construction sites can be a big contributor to illicit discharges. Erosion and sediment controls are put in place to help protect sediment from going into the storm drain system. These controls stay up for the duration of construction, but sometimes they can fail. Construction entrances are gravel entrances that knock the mud off vehicle tires as they exit the site. There is no construction entrance in this picture, which causes the mud to go all over the street. It is important to have secondary containment around storage tanks in case a leak should happen. The leak can be contained and cleaned up before it enters the storm drain. This secondary containment is no longer helping to contain possible leaks from the gas tank. Having protection around storm drains can be the last defense between discharges and the storm drains. This drain protection has been moved away from the inlet and is torn. You can see sediment build up around the area and know that dirt has entered the storm drain. Putting effective controls around construction sites will help with illicit discharges. All the discharges that we have just discussed you can spot as you're going around town. Midnight dumping is illegal dumping that you never see happening. Community members could dump an illicit discharge down the storm drain when they think no one is watching them. You can tell midnight dumping has occurred when stains form on or around the storm drains. Used oil and grease will cause a discoloration around the storm drain. Sometimes you'll even see empty containers left on top of the storm drains. Outfalls are also an area where you can spot an illicit discharge. Outfalls are places where stormwater discharges directly to surface waters. Tuscarora Creek and Dry Run are the surface waters for Martinsburg. An outfall can be an open pipe, culvert, or ditch. All stormwater will eventually end up at an outfall along the creeks. Typically, 2 to 3 days after a rain event has occurred, the outfalls should not have water flowing out of them. If water is still coming out of an outfall, that could mean an illicit discharge. If you see water coming out of an outfall a few days after a rain event and think it is an illicit discharge, there are some ways to tell. Check the color of the water. If there is an illicit discharge, then the water will have a discoloration. Runoff with raw sewage will have a gray or brown sheen. Runoff with oil or gas will have a rainbow sheen. Check to see if there is an odor. A rotting smell could be for food or grease wastes. A raw sewage smell could be from a combined sewer and stormwater system. A combined sewer and stormwater system is not allowed within Martinsburg under our stormwater permit. If you see and smell sewage, contact us. When you're driving around Martinsburg and see an illicit discharge, what do? First, if something looks dangerous or hazardous, do not touch anything and report it immediately. If the situation is safe, document the issue and call our stormwater hotline. Take down the time, place, and description of what is happening. Then call our stormwater hotline. We can be reached Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 304-264-2126 for Public Works, or weekends and after hours at 304-264-2100, the police non-emergency number. And remember, clean water starts with you.